Okay, so let's get started. It's 10:31 and people are going to keep coming in here. But I do want to explain to you guys who just came in, because of a technical user error, I am not the host of this meeting. So you guys are coming in with hot mics, so you need to mute yourselves unless you want to speak. And I can't stop you from speaking today. Usually I can stop you from speaking, but I can't today. So we're going to have a very, yeah, Daryl's excited. He's going to brag quite a bit today, I'm sure, which is great. I appreciate all you guys coming in. And remember that unless you mute yourself, we're going to hear all of you yelling at your kids and everything else. So go ahead and mute yourselves when you get the chance. I can't kick you out, and I can't, there's Dalton. I can't mute you and I can't kick you out. I feel very helpless. Now I know how you guys feel every meeting. So let's get started. The reason I called this meeting, we're seeing a lot of change in the market, aren't we? We're starting to see some change, starting to seem a little bit more normal. Not quite normal, but more normal. Tell me what you guys are seeing, and then we'll talk about how you're adapting to it. But you guys are out there fighting for your buyers and banging your head against the wall for the last 6 months. So tell me what you're seeing now. Anybody, even if you're driving your car.
Properties are staying on the market a lot longer. And by a lot longer, I mean over 7 days.
Yeah. Yeah. Sellers can't believe it if they don't sell in the first 7 days now. What else are you guys seeing? That's true. Longer times on the market. I think it's up to what is it at now? I hate that stat because it's so with vacant land and everything else thrown in there, it's skewed quite a bit. But what do you guys, I saw that it's up 12 days or something from last month, I think now it's up 12 days or 9 days or something like that, which could be a skewed number. I don't put too much into that, but that's what I saw. Average purchase price is down like $2,000 or something like that. But again, that's skewed also. That's never the same house, so just different people are buying now. I do think that as we return to normalcy, we're going to start seeing the $300,000 houses sell faster than the $500,000, which hasn't necessarily been the case over the last, really since the pandemic. It seemed like the people who had money and kept their jobs and were in more of a authoritative position, maybe in their work, were able to keep buying houses, and they're going to buy the more expensive houses than the people who were a lot of them in the hospitality industry or something. They're buying the 250s and the 300s. So tell me what you guys are seeing in that regard as well. Yes, Malvis.
One thing that I've noticed, Ryan, it's for me harder to, on the comparable side, on the listing side of it, looking for comparables because the prices are fluctuating so much. You may find a property that sold for X amount of money this month, and then the next month, a similar property sold for 20,000 more. So I'm trying to bring like real comparables to sellers. It's been harder this time around because of the price difference in just 1 month, in just 1 month.
What is the seller reaction when you bring them comparables that are all over the board? What is their typical reaction? Anybody? Be sure
I don't usually bring them.
Make sure you mute yourselves if you're out there, and I can't automatically mute you, so please mute yourselves if you're out there.
I don't bring them comps.
Go ahead, Dalton.
I don't bring them comps all over the place. So
Okay.
I made the adjustment probably 8 months ago, 12 months ago, where I stopped looking 6 months back on comps. I started going 45 days, especially in high residential areas. And then you can see a trend to say within that 45 days, has the price gone up? Then I'm bringing those comps showing them, hey, things have gone up by 5-10,000. I don't want them to see homes that sold 6 months ago because that might be 30 grand less.
Right. But it also shows a trend too. And I don't care if your comps are only $5,000 apart, what is their reaction always? Well, my house is better than those. So we're going to go with the highest one, and we're going to go a little bit above that, which,
I actually haven't had that. I had that before the market got hot, but most of my sellers have been they've actually thought it was worth less than what I was requesting they sell it at.
yeah. Look, guys, I have an investment account in digital currency. Okay. And it's not a lot of money, but I check it all the time because I always want to know what's in there. Right. I want to see how it changes. It fluctuates a lot. So I like to watch it, even though it's just torturing myself to watch it as it goes up and down and up and down. But it's interesting. People feel the same way about their house. They know, I know roughly what's in there today, right? Because I checked it yesterday. People know roughly what their house is worth, and they don't believe it. And they count their money, they count their equity. You guys do the same with whatever investments and stuff that you have. You know how much money's in your wallet right now, probably, right? You know how much, you know how much credit you have. You know all that kind of stuff. So people know roughly how much equity they have in their homes, or if they don't have equity, they know where they stand. And so they find it foreign in this market to say, when Dalton goes in, they thought they had 100,000 equity. Now Dalton tells them, well, the comp show you have 140. They're like, whoa, or 160, or whatever it is that they have. So yeah, but typically a seller is going to take all those comps and make theirs match the highest one, et cetera. So be sure you're crafting that and the comps, and get pictures and get the things. When you get a comp that's out of line because they just replaced all of their kitchen and their bathrooms and everything else, take some pictures. I don't mean take pictures of the house. Bring some pictures to the meeting when you meet with them and show them why these people got 20,000 more than what we can list for, or whatever it is. So Malvis, my point is you have to direct your sellers. You need to know what the value is, and you direct your sellers to that. And of course, in this market, people aren't shy to show you what the value is by coming in over, so get a good, you have a feel for it. You don't have to, you should have a relationship enough with your clients as an expert to where you don't have to justify everything that you do as far as your recommended pricing. But if you do, be prepared. Have those bullets in your gun if you do. So when they see, their house is worth 450, but when they see the comps for 460 and 465, be able to tell them, yep, that's a corner lot with a lake view and a this and a that, right? So be able to show them, like an appraiser would, minus 10,000 for this, minus 5,000 for that, etc. So be prepared for that kind of stuff. And then say, you know what? So your house is worth 450, but the way the market's going right now, we should list it for 460 and see, or whatever the case is. Okay.
And the thing that I've seen too, Ryan, is that, if you list a home that is worth, I don't know, 350, and you see a similar one, because another thing is that, going back to what Dalton was referring to, I also like to look at comparables that sold like the most recently, but it's tough when you don't have those available. When, trying to look for something similar. But for example, people that were coming from up north that were putting these crazy overs like above 20 grand, above listed price or above appraisals. That's the reason why those houses you see on the MLS that they sold 20 grand more than the real appraised value. When you try to,
right. But those aren't the last people. Those aren't the last people coming down from New York. So if you want to do a fun exercise, get on Zillow and look around New York for houses and see what they're paying for 1-bedroom flats, and then see why they think I can get 3,000 square feet in Orlando for $450,000. This is the best day of my life, right? So that's they don't it's not believable to them. They're paying 800,000 for a 1-bedroom flat, so they think it's incredible. So just keep that in mind also when you're doing this, and they're not the last ones to move down. They're coming down all the time. So guys, have your sellers take advantage of this market while they can. Sellers aren't gonna well, every seller is different, but the only time that you don't do a good job for your seller is when you leave money on the table and underpricing it or whatever, or making them stick to an appraised value is leaving money on the table right now. Would you guys agree with that? Yes. Anytime, and in an imbalanced market, what you see a lot is you see a lot of you know, pricing it at what you think it'll appraise for, and then giving concessions and stuff. And when they do that, they're getting less than the appraised value of their house, which happens in a balanced market sometimes. But the closer you can get to that appraised value, then you can justify the sale. All right. So do a good job for your sellers in that regard. But yes, Dalton was talking about going back 45 days in he said a high volume market, high volume residential area where, you know, big neighborhoods and they're selling all the time. If you've got some weird property, then you've got a weird property. You're probably not going to have as big a pool of buyers. And so you can't just go in there and say, hey, we're going to kill it on this necessarily. And the market I believe the market is softening somewhat significantly. I mean, it's just been a short time of this, but you're seeing it everywhere where you're not getting 40 offers anymore, or 10 offers even. And you guys are seeing it. I'm hearing some of you guys working with buyers where, oh no, they didn't say anything about multiple offers, you know? So.
It's actually getting
What's that there?
It's actually getting back to a normal market, which I like a lot. It got so crazy that I stopped working with buyers because there was nothing out there for me to sell them, and it was a waste of time for both of us.
Yeah.
And now that it's back to a normal market, I'm a lot more in control, I feel, or it's getting to a normal market. It's not quite there yet. It's still busy as all get out. But I think it's much better for both parties, for us and for buyers and for sellers. It's just evening out. It's getting better. It was too crazy for a while.
Yeah, it is, and you're right, it does. I mean, you guys somehow were still killing the transactions. I mean, you guys were still doing business, still doing great volume and great number of transactions. But yeah, it is difficult for buyers. I have seen more, and I had one yesterday. The agent is not in this call, but I had one yesterday. An agent called me. The seller was trying to back out, and most of these seller backing out situations, I've never had so many until the last 6 months. Never heard. Rarely would you have a seller back out or try to back out of a deal. So many times in the last 6 months, and 9 out of 10 of them are because they couldn't find a house. And they're trying to stall and drag their feet and everything else because they can't find a house. They thought they could, and it fell through, or something happened. One time, the seller that was selling their house, they were going to have to sue them to sell, and so they had to back out of the one where they were selling their house, so they felt like they did. So they were suing one guy and getting sued by the other people. So it was just a chain reaction because somebody couldn't find a house to live in. And if that's the case, it's tough luck, or you're going to get sued. So that person yesterday ended up deciding, you know what, I'll go ahead and sell.
The buyer was open door. They definitely don't want to get sued by them.
Right. That's
dangerous.
So you know who I'm talking about, Dalton?
Yeah, like what the heck are they thinking? I mean, you're trying to back out on open door?
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, you know about the same thing. So anyway, that's what's going on. What are you guys doing? I guess you've gotten into a little bit to adapt to how the market is changing. What are you guys doing with your listings? What are you guys doing with your buyers? What are you gonna do? Malvis, you unmuted yourself.
I did. Being educated more with my fellow agents that have dealt with this in the past, because I've never seen this type of market in my real estate career. So I've been asking other more experienced agents, you know, how are they winning offers? You know, how are they wording, using additional terms to, you know, protect buyers and at the same time win offers. So just by getting advice, I was telling another agent on 2 weeks ago call that it's 7 offers to win the couple that I have already under contract, and they were willing to pay a certain amount over appraised value, not to exceed the contract price. So I had to learn. I've been asking other agents how I had to learn how to word things in the contract and make a nice and clean contract, because one of the feedback that I was giving by the listing agent was that my contract was well written, clean, and filled out correctly. And that's one of the things that helped me win that offer.
Yeah, I believe that. Guys, we've given you guys language and wording. Don't play attorney out there. We've had our attorney input stuff and give us input on how to write things, and we've shared that with you guys. So don't play attorney out there, but I'm glad that you're getting that. That's great. Is someone yelling at me? Okay.
Sorry.
Guys, yeah.
Am I on mute?
No, you're not on mute.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No problem. Yeah. If you're going to be yelling at somebody, put yourself on mute. All right. I can't do it today. I'm not the host, so I feel powerless. So let's talk about this. Malvis, you are entering, as we enter this market, I've got good news for everybody. You've been there before. We went there on the way up. We're coming back down, just like an elevator. You've been here just on the way up. Now, as you adjust back on the way down is what, guys, and that's what it looks like. I don't know for sure, but it looks like we're headed back toward more of an even market, and then who knows. But as it comes back down more to normal, first of all, if you've got a listing, you might get back in the habit of not being lazy and doing your marketing and treating people nicely. And if you're representing buyers, you might get back in the habit of making more reasonable offers. Because I think we're headed back toward more of a normal market. Don't do anything crazy. Don't waive your inspections and stuff unless you need to win. But represent your buyers to the best of your ability, which right now is not. I don't think you need to be waiving inspection periods and stuff like that. There are. You guys heard last week from the inspection company we had come in. Everybody get their CE for that. Everybody who wanted it get their CE for that. You talk to the guy and handle that. Okay. They are turning around appraisals. They're guaranteeing in 48 hours. Another company contacted me this week, and they're guaranteeing turnaround in 48 hours. So that's pretty good. Now you can do 3-day inspection periods. Okay, give yourself 4 or 5 if you can, but you can do 5-day inspection periods, pretty solid, right? So that's a nice thing, and you should be doing inspections, but not 15 days. We're still not in that market yet.
They had some really good guarantees too, and warranties. I mean, really good. I haven't heard that anybody else say that. They like 15,000 in guarantees and warranties.
Guys, this market has been hot, and when a market is hot, it attracts a bunch of agents, which is why people are fawning all over Malvis's well-written contracts, because there's a bunch of bad, poorly written contracts all over out there. It attracts agents, it attracts vendors. So there is high competition in the inspection world. Can you believe people are turning around appraisers? Plus, so many people have been waiving inspections that inspectors are starving. I mean, in what world would they ever guarantee 48 hours will be out there and have your report the same day? So 3rd day or 2nd day reports. I mean, just crazy. So that's what's attracted this. Get used to, as we go back into a normal market, get used to not getting as great service from your vendors because they're not going to bend over backwards for you as much when things even out some, right? It's going to get back to what you guys have seen as, I mean, the market never stays stagnant. It goes up and goes down and goes up, buyer, seller, buyer, seller, buyer, seller. But, you know, sometimes it does just a little, sorry, I'm doing hand motions off the screen, little motions and stays pretty level where it's not detectable. But everything changes and it's fun to see how things fluctuate. Maybe it's not fun all the time for you guys, but seeing how things fluctuate with vendors and agents, the agent pool, realtor pool, and how the buyers and seller pools fluctuate. So yeah, What are we doing? What are we seeing on the financing side, time-wise? I'm hearing a lot of lenders taking a lot of time. Is that still happening? Yes, I'm seeing a lot of deals falling apart or being stretched to the limits because of this. Refis should have slowed down. They should be doing better. You need surveys. Surveys are almost impossible to get in a reasonable amount of time now. Appraisals are slow. So we're seeing a lot of issues like that. What are you guys seeing on that, and how are you combating that? Anybody? You're not seeing, nobody's seeing any of that? No? Okay. Mind that. You guys are doing great. Well, the people who call and complain, they must still be crying in their beer, and they didn't make the meeting this morning. So, all right. Well, I'm seeing some of that stuff. So you guys, with your listings, we talked about this before, bigger escrows, and give them a time limit on the appraisal contingency. And everyone has an appraisal, has appraisal contingency built in. If you need me to go through the lines, it's like line 122 through 125 or something like that. Look around that, the early hundreds. It says if the appraisal does not come back, they still get out of the deal. Every as-is contract has an appraisal contingency. They don't have to write a separate one. You guys know that when you're representing your buyers. Look on the contract. Line 119 through 125, somewhere around there, says if their appraisal doesn't come back, they get their deposit back. Now, that's fine within the first 30 days, right? Happens all the time. So what? I mean, that's how deals, that's how you just put it back on the market. But once they pass the 30 days, they still have that appraisal thing. So what I would like you to do, what I used to tell you guys to do all the time when that first changed, is to write in the additional terms, appraisal will be completed within 21, 24 days, whatever it is. Okay? Make sure you have it before the 30 days. All right? Because a lot of you guys are not a lot of you guys, some of you guys have been burned by that, and it happens. And I've seen people, I've seen you guys say no appraisal contingencies, and so they just don't put in, they don't put an appraisal contingency addendum on there, but they have an appraisal contingency in the contract. Okay, in the as is. If you guys need to look that up for you,
Ryan.
Yeah.
I called the legal hotline on that one time, and they're like, well, even though you have an appraisal contingency on the financing, it could, which I think is completely unusual, but if one of the conditions of the loan approval is not an appraisal, then you really don't have an appraisal contingent. You're not protected under the financing clause, is what legal hotline told me.
Well, the legal hotline is not reliable, and I'm not trying to play attorney here, and I'm surprised that they do.
That's right. I mean, you're right, Tammy, but they have to waive that in the contract. So in order for there to not be an appraisal condition, they would have to put in the additional terms that this isn't contingent upon an appraisal.
Right. Yeah, you have to nullify it, or they have it.
Once you remove that condition,
I guess that's falling under the loan commitment period. If how do they explain that to me? It was very confusing. It scared me, actually.
Mm-hmm. I've called for the same thing, and what they told me, Tammy, was that at that point in time, we would have to go back and renegotiate.
No, I know that, but I'm just saying that they told me that if the conditions come back, they get their loan approval, and their conditions come back, and so say they've got 50% down, maybe an appraisal won't be part of their loan conditions. So if it doesn't appraise and that wasn't a condition, how does that work? It's not, you're not really protected.
Guys, there is specific language in here. I'm going to pick on somebody's deal here.
Ryan, I had the same thing as the same response as Tammy with the legal hotline. That they told me pretty much in another words, but that's what I understood.
Well, if it doesn't appraise, you do renegotiate it.
Look, guys, if loan approval, line 116, sorry, starts on 116. If loan approval has been obtained and deemed to have been obtained as provided above, and buyer fails to close this contract, then deposit shall be paid to seller unless failure to close is due to seller's default or inability to satisfy the contingencies, property related conditions. Number 3, appraisal of the property obtained by buyer's lender is insufficient to meet the terms of the loan approval, in which event the buyer shall be refunded the deposit, thereby releasing buyer and seller from all further obligations under this contract. That is cut black and white. I don't care what the legal hotline said.
Right, but it said.
You're not keeping your deposit.
But it said the appraisal to meet the conditions of the loan approval. So if an appraisal is not a condition of the loan approval, then you don't have an appraisal contingency.
Right. Well, if you write it in there, but the appraisal is always conditioned to loan approval, unless you write it in here that it's not. So yeah,
Okay.
you can
Well, they
waive
made it
it.
sound
Of course
like,
you can
I
waive
mean,
it.
I would never have thought an appraisal would not be a condition of a loan approval. But legal hotline said, well, if your loan approval doesn't have that as a condition, then.
Have you guys ever been through, please mute yourself out there, mute my phone. Have you guys ever been through have you guys ever seen an escrow dispute go all the way through and finish? I can't kick this person out or quiet them down, sorry. So have you guys ever seen an escrow dispute go all the way through? Who's seen one go through for their client? Nobody. Anybody ever seen one go all the way through the court? Oh, Vivian has. Okay. It is very difficult for the seller to keep the buyer's deposit if it goes on and on and on. It has to be very, very clear cut. This is, by the way, this is very clear cut in the opposite direction. This is very clear cut. This says if loan approval has been obtained or deemed to have been obtained as provided above and buyer fails to close the contract, then deposit shall be paid to seller unless the failure to close is due to those things. So it says if loan approval has been obtained or deemed to have been obtained, that means after the 30 days or after you've called them and said, we got loan approval, that means the appraisal of property obtained by buyers that are insufficient to meet terms of loan approval, in which event the buyer shall be refunded the deposit. It's right there in black and white. So unless you write in additional terms or by separate addendum, if you want to do extra paperwork, that the loan approval, I'm sorry, that the appraised value is waived, then they're going to get their money back. I don't care if it's 40 days, and we've seen that way past the loan approval period when the appraisal comes back. That they get their money back, no doubt. So what I'd like to see in the additional terms is either waive it or say that they have to have it doesn't matter if you waive it, but if they're going to have an appraisal, then say within the 24 days. We're seeing, guys, if this market goes back to normal, we're seeing the end of the appraisal waivers anyway. So we're going to see, what I'd like to see as it goes back to normal is get my appraisal in the first 24 days. Something like that. Put a little bit of pressure on them and get them to get that appraisal in a reasonable amount of time. Okay.
Ryan, I have a question.
Yes, Nina.
Okay, I wanted to ask you, with all these different situations and the way the market has been, is it wise to, because I'm doing mostly commercial, is it wise to go through attorney to do your contract? If they charge like a $400-500 fee, so they lock in everything for you?
They lock in everything. What do you mean lock in everything?
Means the appraisal. I mean, there are so many things that people will fall out with residential. So I'm showing today 2 residential properties, and I just don't want anything to go wrong. So is it wise to just have a attorney do a contract for $300-400 so there's no, screw ups, or that's the right word?
They make the FAR bar. The FAR bar was written by an attorney, or not an attorney, a group of attorneys. The Florida FAR bar is the Florida Association of Realtors and the Florida Bar get together and they make these contracts virtually foolproof. But they've never met realtors, so just kidding.
Right.
But virtually foolproof. So we just fill in blanks, right? So we're not out there writing contracts. So, guys, if you want me to review it for you, Sanina, when you send it in, that's great. I can make sure it's technically
I'm
correct.
showing it's not that hot right now because it's in Mount Dora, and these properties have been like 110 days, 130 days in the market.
Okay,
so
good.
At least I won't get blood pressure.
Then you've got time to send me a contract to look at.
Okay, thank you so much for your help.
Then it's not selling today. But me looking at a contract and telling you, yes, it looks right, doesn't mean that that's right. What's right for your client, because I don't know what your client's kind of trying to accomplish.
Right.
I can make sure it's a well-written contract, but I
Okay.
can't make sure it accomplishes what your client's trying to accomplish. So
And
you've gotta
even
make
in
sure
this
that-
market, you're saying I should put 20 days appraisal, right? Minimum?
20 days appraisal. No, you don't write, if you're the buyer's agent, you don't write anything about appraisal. Just
Okay.
stick with
Okay.
what the
Okay.
good Lord
Okay.
and the FAR bar gave you here, which is an appraisal contingency. If you're
Okay.
representing the buyer, if you're representing
Right,
the
I
seller
am,
is what I
right.
was talking about rushing people's appraisal. So your seller doesn't tie their property up for 40 days and have them walk because the appraisal came in
Right,
5,000 low and they don't want to buy it.
Okay.
Whatever it
Okay.
is.
Th-
Or
Thank you so
50,000
much.
low. All right, so just,
Thank you.
don't write anything. I'm sorry, guys, if you're on the buying side, don't write anything about rushing an appraisal. Okay, just take your time. Okay,
Thank
always do what's best. So like anything, I mean, it's a competition here, guys. You can't, I mean, there are times where everything's a win-win, but you want to win for your client.
Yes.
And what's best for your client is not rushing the appraisal. It's giving what they gave you. It's taking what they gave you here, which was which most agents don't know about, and apparently the legal hotline will argue with you about, is the appraisal that they gave you. The appraisal of property obtained by buyer's lender is insufficient to meet the terms of loan approval, in which event the buyer should be refunded the deposit. This is after the 30 days or after the loan approval period. So,
I guess I called them because I think I was worried. I don't think I had an appraisal contingency addendum, and I was banking on that financing clause in the contract. And then they just made me feel concerned, like that's not always a protection.
I
They're
love the
telling
legal
you the same
hotline.
thing. Like the legal hotline is telling you the same thing Ryan's telling you. They just didn't do it they did it in a very vague way. They're telling you that the appraisal doesn't matter as long as it's not a condition, which is exactly what Ryan's saying, which means take the appraisal out of the conditions by putting it into the contract, saying this isn't contingent upon an appraisal. But they're telling you that it is a part of it, which is what Ryan was saying. It's in the contract, but if it's not a condition, as in you remove it, then you're fine. So they just didn't explain it very well, but they were telling you the same thing Ryan's saying right now.
No, I want it to be in a condition. I always want it to be a condition if they're financed,
Yeah, if you have the buyers,
unless they
yeah.
say they want to waive it, but yeah.
Yeah, if you have the buyers, you just want it in there, but just you don't say anything about it, and most agents don't know that it's in there. I've seen you guys, probably people in this room, argue with other agents about this very same thing, and then say, well, we didn't send an appraisal contingency addendum. Well, you still have one. Okay.
Right, and why do they even have the addendum if it's in the contract?
Because there's also a standard contract, and that doesn't. And this was changed. People have been doing those appraisal. Those of you guys have been in the business for many years. You've been doing appraisal contingency with a lot of traditional brokers back in the day taught you turn one in with it's just part of the contract every time you submit an offer. Some of you older folks go ahead and nod along if you understand what I'm saying on that. But used to turn it in with every deal. This 2017 FAR bar that introduced the loan approval period as opposed to the loan commitment.
That's it.
Please turn off please mute yourself. Okay, so this is chaos. So when it went from you guys remember loan commitment, you had to have a loan commitment. Now you had 45 days or up to 7 days before closing to commit or not commit. And when they replace it with this loan approval period, which I love, now it's a set 30 days. There's no 7 days before close. What, the closing we first said or the closing after we extended, all that stuff, to now 30 days. But when they did that, then they put in this thing for, well, you can't always get an appraisal within 30 days. So they put this in there too. So, and made the whole thing, it's only more complicated because it's new, but I mean, it's not new, it's 2017, but it's only more complicated because we're not as used to it. But with every deal back in the day, you turned in an appraisal contingency for your buyer. And part of that was because obviously you get rejected by your lender. That's always been the case if it doesn't appraise, right? You either get rejected by your lender or you bring more money or you renegotiate. It's the same deal. But it's obviously been an issue to where appraisals have always taken a little bit longer than people wanted. And so they had an appraisal contingency. But the appraisals have always been a condition of a loan. Obviously, I'm not going to loan you that much money if the house isn't worth that much money. I'm not going to loan you 80% or 90% or 96.5% of something if the house isn't worth that. So it's always been a condition. So any other questions on that? So anyway, back to the subject. That's what I want you guys to do is go ahead and get people to commit or make them get their appraisal more quickly. Patricia, I made a comment on the chat. You can silence your attendees when they join. I am not the host, so I could normally I shut you guys up all the time, but I am not the host today, so I cannot silence anyone. This will be corrected before next week. I feel like a football coach. We're going to get better and better, and we're going to keep working on it. Barbara, thank you for coming. We'll see you soon. Guys, any other questions or comments? Any other questions or comments about anything?
Hey,
Those
Ryan.
you guys, yes,
Ryan,
you do. Yes, ma'am.
Quick, did you ever send any of those, those additional terms that you're talking about? You say you have some clauses that you can actually send for us that we could use in contract?
Yeah, we put them on Facebook before, but email me if you want it. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Are they on paperless pipeline?
I don't know. Abby's giving me a no, it looks like. We'll either get it up there or I'll send it to you guys when you need it.
Okay. Thanks, Ryan.
You bet. You talking about the appraisal waiver? You can just nod if you want.
Whatever you have, sometimes sellers contribute towards closing costs, those additional terms that we put in there, anything that you have that we could use.
Okay.
That's legal, not to make up for our own. But anything like
All right.
closing costs, waive appraisal contingencies, anything up inspection, things like that.
Okay. Well, I don't have all that stuff, but let me know what you need. Let me know what you need as you need it. Otherwise, just more specifically. Okay, guys. Strategies for winning multiple offer situations. We've talked about waiving the appraised value, writing good contracts. Guys, people want to work, well, first thing, listing agents want to work with no agent, but if they have to work with an agent, then they want to work with one who writes a good contract and will do their part of the work. Just little things that put very similar offers over the edge. No, you do not have to take a contract with a escalating clause. Do not have to take that. That's not necessarily your best deal. So you can use escalation clauses if you'd like. We do have that on paperless pipeline if you want to use that. We do have the wording for that, and it's on our letterhead and everything. But you got to know what you're doing and be careful with it.
The FAR bar just wrote one.
Pardon me?
The FAR bar just published one.
Mhm.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah.
Just in time. It's in time for the market to go down. But it'll be back. So yeah, perfect. So FAR bar has one now. That's better than ours, whatever it is, because it's approved by them. So
Sorry, what did Farbar put it out?
they put out an escalation clause. So you
Okay.
can find it on Form Simplicity or Transaction Desk, I'm sure.
Thank
All right. So there's that kind of stuff. Patricia, do you have a more specific question to that? I mean, we've been doing these trainings on this for a while because of the way the market's been. So there's lots of good answers have been shared by the crew here. But if you've got any more specific questions than that, let us know. So there's escalation clauses, there's waiving appraisals, there's cutting down. I would not at this point, we're already past any kind of point to where you would waive an inspection, I think. So, but you can get them done in 3, 4, 5 days now. I would do that. The kind of things that people like, bigger escrows. Just keep in mind, guys, you've got to keep your dates where you can get that money back for people if it doesn't work out.
I must say, Ryan, thank you. I have already tried different routes. The escalation clause, I don't use it anymore. I don't think it works in this market. I don't want to waive the appraisal contingency when I have people that is financing because I put them in risk. So what I've been doing is that I offer the additional terms to pay like $5,000 above appraisal value up to the offer price.
Mhm.
I don't know if this is good, but I haven't get this in any of the offers that I have worked on. And I have also offered some selling clauses, selling costs. And it's good. I mean, they appreciate that we offer selling cost, but I don't still, the market is so hard to get right now. So I don't know if I should do something else. This is what I've been doing, the above appraised value and closing costs. So maybe
Okay.
escrow.
Let me hit some couple of things here real quick. You guys are experts. You guys are supposed to be experts. You are experts. The only reason you get paid for anything is because you're an expert. You guys have got to know what a house is worth, what your client's willing to pay, roughly what it should appraise for. That's your value in this, right? That's why you walk away with $8,000 later on, or $12,000, or $4,000, or whatever it is, right? That's your value in life, right? As your work. So you need to be the expert. You need to know roughly what it's going to appraise for. That is not the value of the home. The value of the home is what your client's willing to pay for it, and what the other people are willing to pay for it, right? Your client may not value it as much as Tammy's client or Helen's client, right? Who might win the deal because their client values it more. Guys, appraised value is only a value that the lender, that an appraiser can tell the lender that they should set as the max value that they determine their loan off of, okay? So it is not what the house is worth. It's what their formula tells them the house is worth. So the house is worth whatever your client's willing to pay. If you need, so when you say we'll go 5,000 above, 10,000, that number should not bother you, as long as your client has cash. If they don't have cash, then they need to find another hobby than looking for houses. Otherwise, they're going to drive you crazy right now. So, or they need to wait a little bit. But if they have cash, that number is not important. They're still, you know, every dollar that they put cash down on the house is one less that they're borrowing from the bank. So it shouldn't bother them that badly if they want the house and what they determine and what you determine the house is worth. Okay. So think about that while you're doing it. If you need some tools to get them to do a little bit better, we have some tools that we shared a couple of weeks ago on here. Look back on the YouTube. There's some tools to show them, yeah, you may pay a little more for the house now, but you're saving so much on your mortgage over time, blah, blah, blah. So there's some tools to show them some values on those kind of things, okay? So you need to get your buyers, this isn't your fault that you can't get a deal. You need to get it's the market's fault for a lot of it. And if your buyers really want to buy and they don't want to waste your time and you don't want to waste your time, then they're going to have to come off some cash, okay? Part of what you do also is sales, and you need to be honest with these people. All you have is your time. That's your resource as a realtor, is your time. Be honest with your clients and tell them what it's going to take to get a house, or talk to you later. I want to keep talking to you. I don't mean like, see you later. I mean, I will talk to you later. I'll keep you updated on the market. I'll send you market reports. I'll do this, I'll do that with you. And we'll decide when a good time to buy again is, because it is coming. You know, mortgage rates are probably going to go up with inflation and everything else, but it's not going to be multiple offers everywhere. So, and when it's not multiple offers, prices will come down or level off, right? Because they're going up right now because you got to beat all these people. That's why we're doing all this above appraisal and all this stuff, right? So be honest with them and say, look, you guys, we saw another house like this. It was 490. This house is priced at 479. We're going to offer up to 15,000 above appraised value because we think it's going to appraise at 475. We're going to offer up to 15,000 above appraised value, whatever it is. But just picking a number and saying 5,000 above or 10,000 above, not that that's what you're doing. I'm just saying, but just as a strategy is not effective, because it might not fit. And if that house is priced below what the actual market value is or what the demand is for that area, then you're not going to win. You're not going to win because Edul's going to put in his client at 20,000 over appraised value because he knows that it's worth 490. Okay, so you got to be the expert and explain to your clients, look, this thing's only going to appraise at 475, but you guys looked at the other one for 490 that you loved and it was not as good as this one. So let's assume we're going to have to pay 490 for this, and we think it's going to appraise for 475. So let's do 15,000 above appraisal value, limited to the purchase price, right? And have these numbers in mind. Don't just blindly say, here's 20,000 over appraised value. You know what I mean? Have these numbers in mind and be able to present a clear strategy to winning to your buyer, so they'll be willing to come off their wallet a little bit. Okay. And guys, know your buyers. Throw stuff out like that. We might have to go 25,000 above appraised value on this. You guys got the cash for that? Know what they're doing. Buyers are liars, and they're going to lead you to believe they have more or less money than what they usually have. Usually less. They can find money typically. hopefully this is the last time I don't have control over people's volume. So it's driving me crazy. So have a strategy and be ready to go with it. If anybody else have anything to help Patricia with that?
I have a question.
I think
Yes.
Hello? Do you hear me?
going back to Anna's, if your client is offering closing costs, it's so hard to speak over that iPhone.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Whoever has an iPhone, please turn your volume off.
Okay, I'll try to speak over it.
All
So
right.
Anna, if your client has cash to offer something above the appraised value and to offer something for closing costs, instead of offering closing costs, I will just put all my efforts towards the purchase price and that money that they're willing to pay above the appraised value. Because on the seller's side, they already agree or they're already willing to pay for that closing cost. And some of the sellers don't understand the price difference or how much they're actually paying for the closing costs. So instead of offering both, just put all of your efforts towards the purchase price.
I
Did you get
could not
that?
understand one thing. I'm sorry. I could not understand.
Okay, I'll try again.
Wait.
So-
Can Jean, Sanina, and the person using the iPhone, please mute yourself so we can understand our
The person using the iPhone isn't responding, so.
I've been sending them inside chat notes the whole time and they have not responded. So I don't even know why they're here because they're not even.
I've sent them 3 chats.
Yeah, they're not even paying attention. That's so rude.
Okay, I'll try again. So
Thanks, Ella.
I think
Okay. All right, I'll be turning in my resignation this afternoon. I appreciate all of you guys for coming out. This is terrible. And they don't even have their name on there, so I can't even call them.
Ryan, I have a quick question.
Yes, Sunina. You can talk over them, I know.
No. Oh, stop it. I am showing like I told you, it's in Mount Dora. It's been in the market. What should we put an offer if they like the house? Should we go below the price a little bit?
Sunina, this is what I was just talking about. Find out what the house is worth. Find out what it's going to appraise for, because by figuring out the market value, or not the market value, figuring out the CMA value of it. See what you think it's going to appraise for. And what is your client's condition? You might, if it's been on the market 110 days, there's nothing wrong with starting out below asking price for sure. But who knows? Maybe it's a steal and just nobody wants to live in that area or whatever your clients really do. I don't know. But check out what you think, run some comps and see what you think it's worth, and then make an offer.
Okay, thank
See
you.
what your clients are, guys, it's worth, you should offer whatever your clients are willing to pay for it, or a little below, because you have to negotiate. But if it's been on the market 110 days, there's a reason. So figure that out.
Okay.
Also keep in mind, when you look at it, maybe you'll see what the reason is.
Okay, thank you.
You know, you can do, Sunina?
Yeah.
You know what you can do too? Call the agent, find out why, what are they looking for? Because sometimes the seller is looking for a lot of money, they won't negotiate lower. So at least you'll have an idea, before you show it. Sometimes they have contracts, they have offers or whatever, and they don't want to lower their price.
I've tried to talk to the agent, and sometimes
Not
these
helpful?
people they don't give a straight answer. I've tried that.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm just, it's been in the market, and I did bring it up to him. I said, it's been in the market for so long. He goes to me, they're in no rush to sell. I said, okay.
That's probably why they won't negotiate too much.
Yeah, right. Okay, thank you, Ryan.
All right, I just called our most likely suspect for who that might be, but it wasn't him. So, so I have a list of suspects, but I can't prove anything. All right, so Stella, it looks like we have a moment. Would
Okay.
you mind sharing real quickly?
Yeah, so I think if you have a buyer, and if you're offering above appraised value and closing costs, I think it's better to put all of your efforts towards that purchase price or the amount above the appraised value, because in the head of the seller, they're already willing to pay for closing costs. And sometimes they don't even understand how much you're willing to pay.
Okay, guys.
Very annoying.
Yes, we're going to cut this meeting. We're going to cut this meeting short. I promise you we'll do better next week. And if you guys have any comments or questions, please feel free to contact me. Hi, George.
Sure.
Feel free. Please feel free. Well, it wasn't George, guys. I was kidding. We didn't think it was George. All right, guys. We'll see you. We'll see you next week. You guys have any questions or comments in the meantime? Let me know, and we will work it out.
Hey, Brian, how about Stella send you the question and then you share with us? I'm sorry. Crazy.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Ida.
I was just saying, how about Stella send you the comment that she want to share and then you said. No,
I don't think Stella wants to share her comment anymore.
oh, okay.
I don't know.
I can put it in the chat quickly.
Yeah, put it in the chat, Stella. Thank you.
Okay.
So Patricia, hang around, read it in the chat. And we'll move on.
I got the idea. Thank you.
You bet. This is why I don't have an iPhone, guys.
Thank you,
Android. I can actually leave without you guys leaving, so I'm out of here. Bye-bye.
Okay, let's go get the iPhone guy. They're still here.
Okay, he left.
No,
no,
he's still here.
Okay, so
I've sent like freaking 6 or 7 chats to him.
Me too.
That's
Asking him to
crazy.
please mute, please mute, please mute. Just ridiculous.
Okay.
So do you find out who it was?
Sorry,
Do you,
we
No.
lost you.
Yeah, we don't know who it was because it says iPhone. The rest of us have our names, as you can see.
There, they just muted.
Well, it's not gonna do anyone any good now. Okay, Stella's writing. When working with a buyer, put all your efforts in the purchase price.
So, to
That-
me, sellers are already willing to pay for their closing costs, and some of them don't even know, but they're willing to pay those costs. So instead of offering above appraised value and closing costs, put all of your money towards above the appraised value, because some of the agents don't even explain how much their closing costs are, or it doesn't really add up in their mind how much more they're getting. So instead of offering both, put all of the money towards the money above appraised value. And that's it. So have a nice day, guys.
Right.
Thanks, Stella. Bye, all.
I think today is not a very good day because it's like we cannot hear even if the iPhone is not there. It's like it keep cutting off.
Okay, bye, everyone. I guess we're over.
All right, bye everyone. Have a good day.
See you all next week.
Yes.